we're all still sort of digesting this news that Jeff Bezos is going to be stepping down from his baby. What's your take on how the company changes and what chapter 2, I guess you could say, is?
I think this makes total sense. I think it's underappreciated just how amazing and innovative and important to everything that goes on basically in technology today that AWS is and was. We totally take it for granted. All of the services that we use, all of the rapid development, all of the engineer, it's everything. And beyond that, I think this makes total sense going forward from an innovative perspective because he has touched everything, all of these other businesses. He basically is the person that drove the platform that underpins the modern internet. So I think they will get rewarded for that in the short term. In the long term, the stock is up. It makes total sense. AWS itself, 28% year-over-year growth. 40-something% of the net income. I mean, the business is still firing on all cylinders, even though there are competitors out there. Google and Microsoft do have cloud businesses that are growing faster and certainly knocking at the door here. But this isn't slowing down, anytime soon. And as we've seen with the last, 6 to 9 months, this infrastructure is not just critical to these businesses, it's been critical to the country and to the world.
I don't think we can expect that Jeff Bezos will not be involved. He will surely continue to be heavily involved in the company. That said, we are entering a new phase of regulatory scrutiny for Amazon that Andy Jassy is going to have to deal with. How big a risk factor do you think that is, and how do you expect him to lead through that?
Yeah, look, I've been on one side of this for a long time. I just don't think for Amazon this is an issue. It is going to be for some other companies. But if you look at the actual, the actual concepts that are being put forward in terms of, regulation, they just don't add up to something that either makes a lot of sense or will be super significant going forward. Amazon is basically a monopoly, but we have decided in this country that some monopolies are okay, and they are, and they're good for consumers. They're certainly good for consumers. So we've basically handed them that in return for something, which is being neutral. And there are places that they've stepped over the line in terms of not being neutral, but that is a tiny piece of, I think, what the kind of populist rhetoric around Amazon attempts to stick them with that just won't, it won't stick. There might be little pieces around the edges, but by and large, this won't be an issue.
I have to ask you, Lee, meantime, what's going on with these Reddit retail traders? GameStop dropping back down to $90 a share, but the market's really rattled, and the game, it seems, has been changed. Like, the rules have been changed. The field now looks completely different. At the same time, you've got some of these Redditors like Roaring Kitty, as he calls himself, continuing to try to rally the troops. And I wonder, are we seeing this fizzle out, or does this continue? Is this just a new part of the story, and does this have to be incorporated into the strategy of traders, both professional and retail?
Yeah, good question. There are a lot of takes, obviously, and a lot of different vectors on which you can approach this whole story. But for me, the most important one here goes back to I've been in the kind of social finance space now for over 12 years. First at StockTwits and then founding Estimize about 10 years ago. And I don't think we ever quite foresaw the combination of the ease of getting retail investors invested in basically playing a casino game, which is what Robinhood and some of these other brokerages have done. They've made it that easy that it is a dopamine receptor casino game at this point, mixed with the social aspect of being able to basically drive a herd in one direction. And I do think that is a tail risk that hedge funds are going to have to deal with in the future. We just saw it on the short side. We have seen it on the long side with Tesla for sure. And that's not going away. The populist aspects of this, I think, is completely bunk. And, you know, basically you can write off that entire political populist, you know, story. But going forward, yeah, this is going to happen over and over again. We just saw the largest degrossing of hedge fund AUM in, you know, since 2009. This was bigger than in, you know, the degrossing that happened in March. So there are long tail risks here that haven't quite been accounted for. And certainly while I think you can write off the whole, you know, populist aspect to the WSB thing, you definitely can't write off the concept that online crowds plus, you know, dopamine casino games being, you know, these investing apps is going to be really important.